In letter B, you guys are given not a cubic like we're used to seeing, but we're actually given a quartic. And we want to graph this quartic and see where our zeros, maximum, and minimums occur. So we're going to take our graphing calculator, and we're going to do this in a little bit more of a simple way instead of doing it by hand. So in our y equals, clear, I'm going to slide this up. And again, your y equals you find by taking your y equals button all the way to the left and clicking on that. And if we plug this in, x to the, which is your caret, which is above your divide, so your caret, to the 4th power minus 3, our x is up here, caret, to the 3rd power minus x, squared buttons over here, plus 6x minus 4. Our window is in our standard window position, so we're going to leave it just like that unless we have to change it to see our graph better. And then we're going to hit our graph button to graph this. When we do that, we get the following graph. A couple things we notice before we start looking at our zeros, min, and maxes for our values. We have 2x intercepts, which means we have 2 zeros. We have 2 minimums and 1 maximum. Alright, so it's when our graph changes direction that we get our maximum. In this case, even though it's not the highest value in our entire graph, it is a local min because it's higher than these other points to the left and to the right. So that is, in fact, a maximum. So if we go to our second calc button, second calc or second trace, which gives us our calc, we're going to find our zeros first. And we know we have 2 of them, so we have to do this twice. So if I take my cursor, it's asking me for the left bound, which means I need to be a little bit higher than my 0. A little bit higher only gives me the option to go up way higher, which is fine. So hit enter. Scroll a little bit below our 0, which is almost right at the 0, which is fine. So hit enter. It asks us to guess, and if we hit enter again, it tells us that we have an x value of -1.5 and a y value of -2.6, but remember, it's e to the -12, so it's very, very little, which means we're going to estimate the y value to be at 0. So our first 0 is going to be at -1.50. So let's find the other one. Same thing, second trace, which is our calc button. We're going to find a 0 again. This time we're going to scroll all to the right. We're going to make sure we're a little bit below our 0 and hit enter. We're going to make sure that we're a little bit above our 0, hit enter. When we hit enter again for guess, it gives us the estimate of 2.76, which means we can actually, or 2.766. So we can round this to 2.77, and our y value is 0. 2.77, 0. Our zeros, we know, should have a y value of 0 in the fact that we know that that graph crosses our x-axes at those points. So our y value should check out to be 0 for that. Second trace again, we're going to do our minimums. We know that we have 2 of them, so I'm going to scroll back to the most left minimum. Make sure I'm just a little left of when that minimum occurs. Scroll so I make sure I'm just to the right of where that minimum occurs. Hit enter again, and it estimates that my minimum happens at -0.789 and y is equal to -7.49. So we'll estimate this to be -0.79 and -7.5. We'll do that. Second trace again, go back down to minimum. Now I'm going to now scroll over to my other minimum, make sure I'm just to the left of that curve. Scroll just to the right of the curve, hit enter again, and my calculator estimates it to be at 2.159 and -4.17. So we'll estimate this to be 2.16 and -4.17. Last but not least, we have our maximum. So if I go second trace again to maximum, Make sure I scroll just to the left of my max, a little bit to the right of my max, and if I hit enter again through that guess, I get a max value of 0.88 if I round to the nearest hundredth, and negative 0.94. Taking those values now, I'm going to plot them over on my graph on the right. Negative 1.5 is about there, 0. My other 0 is 2.770, so 1, 2, almost 3, so right about there. I have a maximum that happens at almost 1 and negative 1. So almost 1, negative 1, so kind of right there. I have a minimum that occurs at almost negative 1, negative 7.5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. A little bit shy of that would be right about there. And then 2.16 and negative 4.17. So 212.16 is a little over. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit under. So I can graph this, connect my points, similar to how the graph looked on my graphing calculator. From here on out, you've got 2 more problems to work on, which is now you tries letters C and D, which are similar to examples letter A and B. If you have any questions, make sure you email me, and this will be due the next time we get together for class.